good afternoon. Hopefully you've all had a chance to have a little social time, but now I'd like to call your attention up to the stage. And for some of you, you've heard me introduce myself several times, but since there may be new people in the room, I'm Mary Sherhart. I am the outgoing president of ARNOVA. Is that clapping because you're happy I'm going? Hope not. We have a long program. As you know, if you went to the membership meeting, we have been adding awards steadily over the years. And we have many, many people to acknowledge. We also have many of our stalwart volunteers who've helped make this conference possible. So I'm going to encourage you to give the stage your attention as we honor a variety of people. The first person that I would like to bring up on the stage is Kirsten Grunberg. And I know you can say your name the right way once you get up here. My former colleague at Indiana University. And the reason that we're bringing her up here is because the School of Public and Environmental Affairs at Indiana University, Bloomington, once again, one of those ongoing supports we really rely upon is sponsoring this lunch. So she's going to say a few words.
Thank you, Mary. I usually respond to anything that gets close enough to my last name that I know that you're talking about me. On behalf of SPIA, we are very pleased to sponsor this ARNOVA signature event now in its 25th year. As you have heard, there are very strong connections between SPIA and ARNOVA. Our faculty and alumni, including some former faculty, have served as members of the board, as co-presidents of ARNOVA, co-edited NVSQ, won major awards, including several presented here today, presented papers, otherwise participated in ARNOVA to make it the premier scholarly association it is today, devoted to the study of nonprofits and voluntary action. A few words about SPIA. We are home to Indiana University's MPA programs. Our Bloomington campus houses the top-ranked nonprofit management program in the top-ranked MPA program in the world. You know, there's only one way to go from here. We have 25 study abroad programs with 14 partner universities in 18 countries, including a nonprofit course in Copenhagen. Of our roughly 90 full-time faculty members, more than 20 specialize in nonprofit management and philanthropy, civil society engagement and volunteering, and/or arts administration and cultural policy. And we will hire more this year. We will shortly have 11 searches underway, including nonprofit management. Our graduate students benefit from our service corps and our arts corps and from experiential learning projects with more than 180 partner organizations across the world. Our undergraduate students participate in our Nonprofit Leadership Alliance program and our Civic Leaders Center, which promotes civic engagement and exposes students to a wide variety of nonprofit leaders. Our Indianapolis campus is ranked 7th as nonprofit management in the US, and on both campuses, highly productive research and teaching faculty are committed to advancing knowledge to prepare leaders for the greater good. And both SPIA programs benefit from a close and collaborative relationship with Indiana University's Lilly Family School of Philanthropy. We are indeed proud of our longstanding involvement with ARNOVA, and we relish our role in helping develop the next generation of nonprofit leaders and scholars. Thank you.
Thank you, Kirsten and SPIA Bloomington. We very much appreciate your support. Generous grants and donations help make this conference possible. And the scholarships and awards that you're about to hear about are only possible through those kinds of philanthropic gifts. This year alone, ARNOVA provided support for over 100 scholarships and fellowships. Very nice. This primarily focuses on our students and emerging leaders in our field with a special effort to encourage greater diversity. I'd like to acknowledge the Charles Stewart Mott Foundation, the Ford Foundation, and the Lilly Endowment for their ongoing, thank you, and generous support of ARNOVA. I'd also like to acknowledge our members for their generous gifts. We hope you'll continue to support our work and the support of new scholars through your gifts to ARNOVA's annual and scholarship funds. Our commitment to early scholars resulted in a number of early scholar professional development sessions, and these sessions were chaired by Haldoun Abouassi and David Berlin. I'd like to ask Haldoun and the committee to stand and be recognized. Haldoun, David. This year, we also continued the special professional development sessions. I want to thank all the members who agreed to volunteer to put these sessions together under the leadership of our conference co-chairs, Brenda Bushhouse and Mary Kay Gugerty. So thank you. I'd also like to thank the Local Arrangements Committee. Austin has been a wonderful, wonderful location, and we've been able to hear a little bit about some of the work of the local organizations here and those international, national, and state organizations that work with Austin organizations. I would like to ask Maura Porter and Kelly Pratlett to stand up and be recognized, as well as the other members. Thank you to the entire Local Arrangements Committee. And I believe, yes, their names are up on the screen. Now I'd like to introduce the program. And what we're going to do is actually start with Brenda and Mary Kay, the co-chairs of the Conference Planning Committee. And I'm going to actually ask them to come up and recognize their committee, the track chairs, and all the other volunteers who they've worked with. So if you could come on up, I'd appreciate that.
Thanks, Mary. Hi again for the third or fourth time for some of you, but just in case, I'm Mary Kay Gugerty. I'm at the Evans School of Public Policy at the University of Washington, and together with Brenda Bushhouse, we are your conference co-chairs this year. So I wanted to start the thanks by, first of all, thanking all of you. Many of you have come up to us and said, oh, the panels have been so great, the quality is so terrific, and I want to say thanks, it's all us. But really, it's all you. And so it really speaks to the quality of the scholarship that you guys are submitting and the work that you're doing that this conference is going so well. So thank you all for your work and for bringing it here to Austin. I then really want to thank the conference committee, which are really the track chairs for this program. We get a lot of the glory by standing up here, if indeed it is glory, but the conference committee and the track chairs do a lot of the work of really putting the conference together. They review the proposals, they assemble panels, they really create the coherence and the dynamics of the conference. So to all of you who served as track chairs, thank you for your effort that really creates the conference that we're enjoying right now. So a round of applause, please, for the conference committee and track chairs. Thank you. I'd also like to take a moment to thank the amazing ARNOVA staff that make this conference work on a day-to-day and hour-to-hour basis. Sharik, Holly, Natalia, Fatima, Jesus, Mohamed, and a special shout out to somebody that you may not know all the time, but Mary Kate Myers, who serves as our conference manager. Fortunately for you, it is not us that figures out all the rooms and who goes where, because we might all be on the street if that were the case. Mary Kate is the one who really makes this thing tick. And so if you see her, give her a shout out and a thanks. It's a huge amount of work to keep it going. I think she's here somewhere. Are you way in the back there, Mary Kate? Wave. There she is. Yeah, thank you. All right. I just have two quick highlights to announce before I turn the floor over to Brenda. There are special common interest group meetings tonight at 5:30, so take a look in your program and see if you might like to attend one of those. And I also wanted to point out that at 5:30 there'll be a reception with AROXA. AROXA is our partner organization in Africa, and so all of the members of AROXA who are here will be at that reception. And so if you're interested in African scholarship and linking up with African scholars and spending some time in Africa, we encourage you to come to that meeting, that reception also at 5:30. So just as we have an outgoing president this year, we also have an outgoing conference track chair, because we have a model where people rotate on and off. So this is my second and final year as conference co-chair. Brenda will be continuing on for next year, and I'm excited to announce that Lindsay McDougall will be joining her as conference co-chair next year. Thank you, Lindsay, in advance for all of your service. And they've been working with the conference committee for next year on developing our theme for San Diego. So I'm going to turn the floor over to Brenda to talk a little bit about that, and just to offer you again my thanks. It's been a privilege to serve, and I've really enjoyed getting to know more and more of you. So thanks.
And I very much appreciate the leadership of Mary Kay. Having somebody that's been through it the year before to guide is tremendously useful, and I like this model. I wanted to draw your attention to the call for papers that is out on the registration table and was in your registration materials. It's this lovely shade, so you can't miss it. And our theme for next year is Nonprofits and Philanthropy in a Polarized World, Speaking Truth to Power and Using Power to Speak Truth. We're going to be dealing with the dichotomies and the dualism in our world, and thinking very carefully about the ways in which our sector tries to create bridges and ameliorate some of those problems. So we look forward to seeing you in San Diego. We're going to be in this sunny location next year, and we encourage you all to attend. The call for papers with the track chairs will be coming out in January. So thank you very much, and I'll turn it back over to Mary Sherhart.
I'd now like to recognize the Emerging Scholars Award Committee for their hard work under the leadership of Beth Gaisley. Their committee names, yes, are on the screen. They have really been very important in helping us to bring in sort of a new cohort of members of ARNOVA who will be joining our community, I hope, for years to come. The list of the emerging scholars is in the program and also on the screen. And if you would please stand and be acknowledged, we'd like to thank you for joining us this year. Could stand or wave. I had the wonderful opportunity this morning to experience sort of a very nice honor ceremony for Jennifer Wade Berg, Judy Weisinger, and Pierre Rogers. For over 10 years, they've been leading our Diversity Scholars and Leaders Professional Development Program. And hearing them talk about that program was very touching. We also noted all the folks who have been touched by that program, and we see many of them here today, years later. In fact, one of our board members went through that program early in its development. So I would like to thank once again Jennifer, Judy, and Pierre for their tremendous service over the last 10 years, and ask them to stand and be recognized once again for all their work. Judy could not be here with us, so we at least were able to thank in person, Pierre and Jen. I'd also like to share with you the board's excitement about the second year of our undergraduate Diversity Scholars Program. This was a program proposed by the Diversity Committee and chaired by Christina Balboa, who is going to be an official member of our board, a voting member, on Saturday. So I'd like to ask Christina, her committee, and the 21 undergraduate scholars to stand, wave, whatever you want to do, but know that you're recognized, and let's give them a round of applause. Another way that we're building the field for the future is by sponsoring the ARNOVA Doctoral Fellows Seminar each year. This year alone, we have 29 doctoral fellows. I'd like to recognize Mark Hager, chair of the Doctoral Fellowship Committee, for his leadership of this program, and the other members of the committees that have worked on this particular program. Could they please stand, wave, do what they can to let us know where they are, and let's thank them. And they're also up on the screen. I wish I could read everyone's names off, but there's just too many. It's wonderful. I'd also like to thank the Conference Scholarship and Travel Grants Committee, under the leadership of Murray Kim, for the work in reviewing the conference scholarship applications for this year. And could you please rise at your tables, wave, and be recognized. Now, it's been fun up till now, but now I have to thank our outgoing board members, and it's been such a delight to work with them over the past 2 years. So I'd like to invite Beth Gaisley, Mark Seidel, Hector Cordero Guzman, and Jennifer Mosley for their service to ARNOVA, and we have very, very small acknowledgments of all that they have done for ARNOVA over the past years. And I'm sure they'll continue to serve and be called upon, but could we please give them a round of applause for their help on the board? And Mark must not be here. Oh, there he is. This paperweight could be useful. You never know. Law class, someone not paying attention. Now, this last year, the board changed the way that it does its award committees. What we wanted to do was bring more people into this process, get more input from our broader membership on the awards. We also moved the responsibility to a sort of redesigned committee. And so I would like to invite Lindsay McDougall to come up onto the stage. She might explain a little bit more what we did. And she's actually, since she did, her and her committee did pretty much all the work for the awards this year. I could just step back, which was wonderful. I'm going to turn it over to her to take you through our research awards. So, Lindsay.
Thank you. So as Mary mentioned, the responsibility for chair selection for the ARNOVA Research Awards has moved from the president to the research committee. And the research committee now consists of a number of smaller subcommittees, each responsible for overseeing one of the awards. This change in the structure of committees means that the research committee, now called the Research Awards Committee, is the largest committee for the association. This also means that there are more opportunities for our members to take on leadership roles within the association as subcommittee chairs and members of the committees. So to begin this portion of the awards luncheon, I would like to call to the stage Jesse Lacey, Chair of the Best Paper Award at the 2017 ARNOVA Annual Conference, to present the award. And as you come up, I would like to ask if you could come up the long route and then exit the short route. That'd be great.
All right, I'm presenting the award for the ARNOVA Best Conference Paper for 2017. First, I just want to thank the committee members for the hard work. Joanie Tremblay-Bois, George Mitchell, Jürgen Williams, Megan Lepierre-Schloop, and Julia Carboni. The award this year goes to The Place Dilemma of Community Foundations, Equalizing the Inequality, authored by Viviana Wu, Wei Zhu, and Chao Gao. In the paper, the authors highlight a paradox of philanthropy. Community foundations mobilize and coordinate resources that have a profound impact on the communities they serve and the social fabric in which they work. In 2015, they raised $2.7 billion and distributed over $500 million in grants to the communities that they were located in. But conversely, the communities also shape the foundation. Resources, social capital, and philanthropic value are all products of local environment. The communities that have higher income, more inequality, more human capital, tend to raise and distribute more philanthropic capital to the communities. As a result, they might be enhancing inequality as well as addressing urgent social problems. So through this study, the authors raise some important issues about the important role of philanthropy and also how it might contribute to inequality in the communities that they work in. So congratulations to the award winners. Congratulations. I would love to see your comments. Yeah. Thank you, Chao. Congratulations.
Now, I'd like to remind all of our members that ARNOVA has a number of partnerships that allow opportunities for our members to pursue supported research. One such partnership is with the RGK Center for Philanthropy and Community Service at the University of Texas, Austin. This year, with the RGK Center, we are awarding the RGK ARNOVA President's Award to sponsor individual research. And I would like to ask Alan Abramson, chair of this year's award, along with David Springer of the RGK Center, to present the 2018 ARNOVA RGK President's Prize.
Thank you, Lindsay. It's great to be one of those new faces that the awards committee has discovered. It's a pleasure. It was a pleasure working with Ram Kannan and Dennis Young to give this year's RGK ARNOVA President's Award. The award winner is Katie Harold from Indiana University. Katie's subject is NGOs that receive international aid. Research suggests that these NGOs have become technocratic, bureaucratic institutions that are more accountable to their foreign donors than to the citizens in their own countries. However, in the face of this somewhat gloomy picture, Katie has found evidence of the emergence in developing countries of a new wave of homegrown, grassroots organizations that are much more connected and responsive to local citizens. These groups are the subject of Katie's project. Her intensive ethnographic work will focus in particular on Palestine, where she will start by building a database of grassroots NGOs. Dr. Harold plans to chart the successes of and challenges faced by the emerging grassroots groups that are, she says, trying to reclaim civil society as an arena which is working for local citizens. Gives me great pleasure to bring David Springer from the RGK Center and Katie Harold for their award.
Another partnership that ARNOVA has established is with the UMD Do Good Institute. And this year, we are awarding the UMD Do Good Institute in Global Philanthropy and Nonprofit Leadership Award to Dr. Calhoun Abuasi. As the stand-in chair of this award, I would like to thank the committee for all of their hard work, and also provide all of you here today with an overview of Dr. Abuasi's proposed research and why it is that the committee selected his proposal. Dr. Abuasi's project, which is titled NGOs and Local Government Relationships in Developing Countries, Funders' Impact, will examine how outside funding of non-governmental organizations, specifically funding from international and private donors, affects the nature and development of the relationship between NGOs and local governments. The committee decided that Dr. Abuasi's project would be a welcome contribution to the literature on global philanthropy, especially within Lebanon, an area that has been understudied as it relates to philanthropic activity. Ultimately, the committee agreed that Dr. Abuasi's project will increase knowledge and answer questions related to the impact of global philanthropy on the ground in this region. The committee would like to once again congratulate Dr. Abuasi, and Angela Bees of the University of Maryland Do Good Institute is presenting the award. Through a partnership with Charity Navigator, ARNOVA has also established the Dugan Research Award on Philanthropic Impact. And I would like to ask Hector Cordero Guzman, chair of the committee, and Michael Thatcher from Charity Navigator to present the 2018 Dugan Award on Philanthropic Impact.
I apologize on behalf of Michael, who couldn't be here with us. And this is an award that honors Pat and Marion Dugan, the founders of Charity Navigator. And it's really trying to push our field forward in terms of how we measure impact. This year's winners are Brad Fulton and Matthew Baguera from Indiana University for their project Observing Civic Engagement, evaluating the relationship between internal dynamics and organizational impact. I'd like to thank the members of the committee, which include Lindsay McDougall, Sylvia DeHaas Phillips, Mireille Kim, Kevin Ward, and Mary Sherhart for being part of the committee, and the citation reads as follows. The Fulton and Baguera proposal was strongly grounded in theory on civil society organizations and broader sociological theory on organizational dynamics, processes, and outcomes. The authors proposed to use innovative, systematic social observation of space, interactions, leadership, and deliberation decision-making dynamics in organizations to explore how much variation can be observed within the organizations and to understand the importance and influence of micro-contexts and internal dynamics and their measurement on organizational outcomes, really trying to push our field forward and beyond the overhead rate. So congratulations to our winners, and please come up and accept your award. It's my bad. This will be Emily Williams, who's joining us on behalf of Charity Navigator. Thank you so much again. Appreciate it.
Through a partnership with Al Subai Charitable Foundation, ARNOVA has established the Mohammed and Abdullah Ibrahim Al Subai Charity Foundation ARNOVA Arab Philanthropy and Nonprofit Research Award. And I would like to ask Samir Abu Radad, Chair of the Committee, to present the 2018 Al Subai ARNOVA Arab Philanthropy Award.
Thank you. What a great feeling to fly 13 hours in the airplane to come here and announce another winner this year. I came from Kuwait, from IICO, to present on behalf of ARNOVA and our great committee, السبيعي ARNOVA Arab Philanthropy Award. Our great committee, John McNaught, David King, and Thabit Khan. And I don't forget the sponsor of our award, السبيعي Foundation, which is one of the biggest, maybe the second in KSA. We are pleased to name the award this year for the proposal titled Beyond the Disciplinary Rule of Governance, How Participation Practices Add Value to the Philanthropic Foundations, Associations, or Strategies in Saudi Arabia. Our winner is a PhD candidate in San Diego, in leadership studies in San Diego University. We are looking forward for her results and finding next year. Please congratulate Afnan Koshak. This is yours.
Now I would like to ask Famita Handy, Chair of the Award for the 2018 Outstanding Article in Nonprofit and Voluntary Sector Quarterly, to present this year's award.
Hi, I'm delighted to be the chair of the committee to present the award for the best or the outstanding article in NVSQ, journal very close to my heart. The committee this year comprised of international scholars and ARNOVA members, and I'm very grateful to Choli Kang from Korea, Bernd Helmich from Germany, Lucas Mays from Netherlands, Jeffrey Brudney from USA, Michael Barr from Israel, Michael Shire from Canada, and Christopher Einhoff from the USA. So we are a very international committee this year giving out the award. We dutifully went through all the articles in volume 46, and there were a cohort of excellent papers, and we decided to do something different this year and give the award to 2 best papers. So you're going to have to listen to me a little bit longer on this. The first award is given to Mireille Kim, whose article is titled The Relationship of Nonprofits' Financial Health to Program Outcomes, Empirical Evidence from Nonprofit Arts Organizations. This article investigated the link between financial indicators and program outcomes and asked the very long, unresolved question of whether financial indicators are able to predict program success in nonprofits. One of the reasons this question has remained unsolved is because it's extremely difficult to solve and to define outcome successes over heterogeneous nonprofits. Dr. Kim overcame the difficulty of doing so, and her article is a brilliant analysis of looking at program outcomes for over 5,000 arts and cultural nonprofits. Her empirical results confirmed that financial attributes are indeed linked to program outcomes, but not always in the ways we are accustomed to believing. Indeed, She finds the financial program outcomes, the financial measures contributing to efficiency and stability have no relationship or even a negative relationship with program outcomes. This suggests there is a trade-off in maintaining financial strength and program performance. In summary, the committee thought this was an excellent article by Dr. Kim, which addressed an important question and made a significant contribution to the literature. The second award was given to Dr. Zoe Lee and Humphrey Bourne from the University of Bath and University of Bristol, who are not here today. Nevertheless, I would like to say a few words about their award. The article was entitled Managing Dual Identities in Nonprofit Rebranding. The value of corporate brands has been long held as a strategic asset and is increasingly true for nonprofits. However, nonprofits face an additional challenge when rebranding issues must balance the dual identities, the identity linked with mission-related normative goals and the identity linked to utilitarian and instrumental goals. Highlighting the utilitarian identity in rebranding raises conflicts with those stakeholders who prefer the organization's well-established identity, normative identity. So the authors asked, how can these dual identities be managed? And their article offered a very good in-depth literature review and theoretical considerations before conceptualizing their research question at hand. And then they used qualitative data to do an in-depth study for their research questions. Their very thoughtful and careful analysis gave rise to major contributions the committee believed in the nonprofit rebranding literature. In summary, their excellent research has had practical applications for nonprofit managers undertaking to rebrand and underscores the dynamics of dual identities in the rebranding process. So I would like to welcome Dr. Kim to accept the award. The check is in the mail.
Okay. Now the Best Reviewer Award for NVSQ will be presented by Angela Bees.
So, if you've ever reviewed for Nonprofit Sector Quarterly, please stand up or raise your hand. If you would like to review or are willing to review for NVSQ, also stand up or raise your hand. Photos will be taken, addresses will be noted. I say this actually with the utmost seriousness. Reviewing for NVSQ, serving as a track chair reviewer for this conference, serving as a reviewer for our sister nonprofit studies journals, it is the stuff that predicates our academic enterprise. It is the stuff that is silent and unsung, but today we get to sing the song for our winner. I make this award on behalf of the co-editors-in-chief, myself, Susan Phillips, and Chao Guo, and our editorial board. It gives us great pleasure to express our sincere appreciation to all of the reviewers. And we want to reiterate that it is these reviewers and your work that contributes to the success of NVSQ. The reputation of our journal has achieved this in no small way because of the quality of the reviews As we continue to receive thanks from authors, it underscores the importance of the quality of reviews, but also the exchange with the authors. At a session yesterday, we had a scholar implore the editors of journals to remember that there's a person on the other end of that manuscript. And I'm really grateful to be able to make this award to Dr. Christopher Einhoff of Northern Illinois University, because he indeed embodies that generative, responsible spirit. Each year we choose only one reviewer out of the hundreds of people who review for our journal. And in doing that, really, Chris exemplifies the work of all of you. In assessing quality, a primary consideration is that the reviewer has provided insightful critique of the manuscript by assessing the main drawbacks of the theory, methods, the significance of the work to the literature, and its overall conclusions. We value reviewers who have a deep knowledge of the nonprofit literature, but who can also deepen their review because of their connections to other disciplines and comparative perspectives. This process of quality continues through many rounds of revision and results in quality scholarship. I cannot emphasize how grateful we are for this service. This year, we are pleased to present the award to Dr. Christopher Einhoff. He has excelled on all criteria. He has conducted a total of, ready? 9 reviews in the past calendar year. He is thoughtful, he is constructive, and he is timely. Let me emphasize that, timely. With his expertise in sociology and knowledge of altruism, charitable giving, and volunteering, he has been particularly helpful in offering in-depth and thorough evaluations, helping authors to strengthen their theoretical contributions. He's diligent, he's caring, he's a reviewer's reviewer. Congratulations, Chris, on this well-deserved award.
The NML Editor's Prize for Best Scholarly Paper in Nonprofit Management and Leadership will be presented by Mark Hager.
I have the great pleasure to serve as editor of Nonprofit Management and Leadership, which set new highs in 2017 in number of submissions, in number of individual reviewers, thank you all, and impact factor, and is well on its way to setting new highs in all of those categories in 2018. For 28 years, the journal has been supported by Case Western Reserve University, and they are the sponsor of this award and $1,000 prize. The winner is selected by vote of the members of the NML advisory and editorial boards. This year, members of these boards were asked to review all articles published in volume 27 of the journal running from fall 2016 to summer 2017. The winners this year are co-authors Kelly LaRue and Julie Langer for their article titled "What Nonprofit Executives Want and What They Get from Board Members," published in the winter 2016 issue. LaRue and Langer begin with the observation that nonprofit boards of directors often fall short of the ideal in mission setting and oversight that help to ensure organizational accountability. Armed with a survey of executive directors of nonprofit agencies, they investigate whether nonprofit boards are meeting executive directors' expectations. When the answer is no, they seek to explain why not. They find that although board behavior tends to align closely with executive directors' preferences for involvement in administration and management tasks, there is a greater disconnect between board behavior and executive directors' preferences for involvement in mission setting and oversight duties. LaRue and Langer's research shines a bright light on limitations of boards and provides insights for bridging the gap between what nonprofits need and what boards are able to provide. Dr. Kelly LaRue at the University of Illinois of Chicago and Dr. Julie Langer at Northern Illinois University are winners of the 2018 Editor's Prize for Best Paper Published in Nonprofit Management and Leadership. For you. Congratulations. And there's nobody taking our picture.
Okay.
And I'm going to ask Mark to stay on the stage as chair of the Gabriel G. Rudney Memorial Award for Outstanding Dissertation in Nonprofit and Voluntary Action Research and present this award. First, though, I'd like to note that the Rudney Award is made possible through an endowment and a donation from an anonymous donor, both of whom we thank for their support of this award.
Thank you, Lindsay. The Gabriel Rudney Award is given for outstanding dissertation in nonprofit and voluntary action research. I would like to acknowledge the three committee members who helped to evaluate the 12 submissions for this award. It's not easy to read and evaluate, so I'd like for them to stand when I name their name, and that everyone sitting at their tables to give them a good huzzah for their work on this committee. Brent Never at the University of Missouri, Kansas City, Jasmine Johnson at George Washington University, and 2015 Rudney Award winner Sheila Cannon from Trinity College in Dublin. So huzzah to this committee. The 2018 initiate to the Rudney Club is Erin Elizabeth Beaton for her dissertation, Managerialism, Mission, and Values, Micromechanisms of Nonprofit Institutionalization. Professor Beaton's dissertation focuses on a very important empirical phenomenon, the growth of managerial and market logics of American nonprofits. Within this empirical context, she asks a fundamental question. How do nonprofits manage the tensions inherent in balancing the social mission that defines and drives them and the market and managerial logics that are increasingly required for legitimacy among their stakeholders? Using a comparative case study method, she employed ethnographic interviews, observations, and surveys to identify tensions between market and social logics, how organizational members manage these tensions in their work, and whether and how their local understandings ladder up to these larger logics. This need to provide a better and more methodologically grounded micro-translation of institutional logics is a well-recognized need among institutional theorists, and Erin Beaton's research is well-positioned to make a major contribution to this area of inquiry. Erin is now assistant professor at Ohio State University, and she is now our 25th initiate to the Rudney Club, and I believe there are 10 to 12 other members of that club that are in the assembly today. So I would invite you after the awards assembly to come up and greet Erin with our secret handshake. When we get off stage over here and take our picture, I will teach her that handshake so that she's properly initiated into the Rudney Club. So the 2018 award winner is Erin Beaton.
Now I'd like to ask Jessica Soa to present our 2 annual book awards. First, the Outstanding Book Award in Nonprofit and Voluntary Action and Research, and second, the Virginia A. Hodgkinson Research Book Prize.
Thank you. I'll try to keep this relatively brief. I feel like I'm at, the Best Picture Oscar, when they want to keep it a little brief at the end. So I want to thank the committee, including Roseanne Marabella, Carrie Kenzie, Sabas Khan, Patsy Krager, and Nate Wright. This is a really great bit of service to do, because for nerds, getting a giant box of awesome books to read is pretty much the best service you can have. It was a tough decision narrowing down from all the amazing scholarship that you all produce, but we picked 2 really terrific books that we think are just really emblematic of the kind of great scholarship in nonprofit studies. So I'm going to read a little brief section of the two things, but I encourage you to check the books out. So our first winner is the Outstanding Book in Nonprofit and Voluntary Action Research, and we're thrilled to give it to Jennifer Brass of Indiana University for her book, Allies or Adversaries, NGOs and the State in Africa. Across the world, developing states have witnessed the growth of NGOs, but there are a lot of questions that remain about the relationship between NGOs and government. In this book, Jennifer Brass deeply explores the NGO-government relationship to address the question of whether NGOs undermine developing states or whether this relationship is more positive in practice. She conducts an in-depth examination of this relationship, exploring the operation of NGOs in Africa along 4 elements of stateness: territoriality, governance, administrative capacity, and legitimacy. And Brass finds that under particular conditions, NGOs can be powerful players in supporting the administrative state of developing states in a way that may improve services and can perhaps improve state legitimacy for citizens. Needless to say, this book is a rigorous and timely read. If we do the picture after. Oh, do you want me to do the second word and then come do the pictures? All right, cool, awesome. Yeah. You don't think you would get nervous standing in front of a big room like this, but you do. It's interesting. So, our second award is the Virginia A. Hodgkinson Research Book Prize, and we are also thrilled to present that to Emily Barman from Boston University for her book, Caring Capitalism, The Meaning and Measure of Social Value. In this book, it really looks at the question of what does it mean to do good and produce value in society? And in particular, what is social value? And does it matter who's producing it for how it's understood and measured? And these are the very ambitious waters into which Emily Barman dives with her book, Caring Capitalism. This book presents a systematic examination of value entrepreneurs, defining what it means when mission and purpose become entangled with money, and social goods are subjected to market forces and or sold on the open market. Barman amasses strong evidence on the tools and practices associated with delivering and measuring social value, really to compare across the sectors, including but not limited to classic outcome measurement, corporate social responsibility, social return on investment, and impact investing, and raises a number of intriguing questions that should lead to new areas of research to strengthen our knowledge base on the use of market-based solutions to address social problems and the social construction around measurement and value. So, join me in congratulating her on this award. Thank you. Congratulations. Thank you.
The Peter Dobkin Hall History of Philanthropy Book Prize will be presented by David Hammock, and this award is made possible through a grant from GiveWell and the Open Philanthropy Project.
This year's Peter Dobkin Hall Prize, History of Philanthropy Prize, goes to Professor Stephen R. Porter of the University of Cincinnati. The selection committee, which included Jessica Elfenbein of the University of South Carolina and Amanda Moniz of the Smithsonian National Museum of American History, was very pleased to have a dozen nominees. It was a good deal of work to sort through several very good books. Porter's benevolent empire includes case studies of private government engagement that range from food relief and protection of the vulnerable after World War I to special treatment of Hungarians, Cubans, and Vietnamese in the 1960s and the 1970s. This timely book offers original interpretations of the course of 20th century refugee politics in the U.S. and leaves the reader with a significantly enhanced understanding of the way the increasing domestic and international power of the federal government affected philanthropy and international aid organizations. Those who wish to know something about the HIAS, the Hebrew Immigrant Aid Society, which aids both Jewish and non-Jewish refugees, and which was the target of the recent mass murders in Pittsburgh, would learn a great deal about the society and its close relations with the U.S. federal government from Porter's book. It contains much else that's very relevant to the current situation.
Okay. And last but certainly not least, I'd like to ask Rob Christensen and Lauren Wilner to present the 2018 ARNOVA Best Poster Award.
Rob and I would like to present the award for Best Poster to Dr. Seth Meyer and Rebecca Pena for their study, A Critical Analysis of Community Philanthropy in South Africa. Their study explores the distribution of grants in a regional context in South Africa, utilizing transaction cost economics. Through this panel study of the community chest of the Western Cape funding, the authors found that resources were unevenly distributed and that low internet access and distance were significant factors in the variance of funding distribution.
Meyer and Pena's study was particularly impressive because both were so prepared, so engaging. But it's especially impressive because it is already having impact in the field. The community chest is already using their findings to help improve the evenness and distribution of funding. We enjoyed reading and hearing about their study, as well as all of the other posters that were in the session yesterday morning. And we wish them both a hearty congratulations on this important accomplishment.
Thank you. So I'm honored today to present the Distinguished Achievement Award to Professor Evelyn Brody. I know that Evelyn Brody has probably already touched the lives and the scholarship of many in the room, but just before she comes up to accept her award and share some more of her wisdom, I wanted to introduce those of you who are not already aware of some of her amazing accomplishments to this inspirational woman. Professor Evelyn Brody is a nonprofit law icon. When she began her legal academic career in 1992, nonprofit law was hardly even a field. In large part through the force of her teaching, scholarship, field building, and mentorship, nonprofit law has become a standard part of the law school curriculum and an important subject within the legal academy. Through her indefatigable efforts, nonprofit law has also been recognized as a vital component of the interdisciplinary field of nonprofit studies. She began this amazing journey when she joined the faculty of Chicago-Kent College of Law in 1992, where she has served as professor of law ever since. She has visited at numerous law schools, including NYU, Duke, and Penn, and has been an affiliated scholar with the Urban Institute for decades. Professor Brody is a prolific and influential scholar who's made her mark on so many fields: the federal tax treatment of charities, of course, but also nonprofit governance and accountability, charitable trust law, and state property tax exemption. Her work has appeared in innumerable journals, books, and has been cited by state and federal courts. She is a gifted and virtually constant speaker at all kinds of conferences, including those put on by practitioners and regulators, all of whom admire her work tremendously. In addition to her academic and policy work, Professor Brody has made significant contributions as a contributor to ARNOVA,
serving 4 years on its board of directors, regularly attending annual conferences, and encouraging and organizing legal academic colleagues around the globe to make this our once-a-year convening spot. Her work in this way has allowed the nonprofit legal scholarly community to interact, which enriches their work and that of their ARNOVA colleagues by adding legal issues to the rich interdisciplinary work ARNOVA showcases. Finally, I would be remiss if I didn't mention Evelyn's mentorship. I myself am a very grateful recipient of her mentorship, but I'm far from alone. She has mentored emerging nonprofit legal scholars of all backgrounds, sharing with them her experience and her boundless warmth and energy, welcoming into her network of nonprofit scholars and practitioners. We're so fortunate to find ourselves here, and I'm so proud that ARNOVA has chosen to bestow upon you this Distinguished Achievement Award.
If I get through this without breaking down, it'll be a miracle. Thank you so much, Dana. Thank you, everybody. I still haven't gotten over the news that ARNOVA is granting me this prestigious award, but I had no idea until the conference schedule came out that many of my colleagues had organized panels reviewing my scholarship and other activities and helping build the field of nonprofit law. So as I thought about the out-of-body experience I'm having here, it came home to me the truth of that sentiment that no accomplishment is singular, that we collectively inform and inspire each other's work. I simply cannot imagine my career without ARNOVA. Because I literally could not have done it without you, I gratefully accept this award from ARNOVA as a tribute to ARNOVA. I joined the law school faculty, as Dana said, in 1992, but I had only practiced law and worked at the Treasury Department's Office of Tax Policy. So at the very start, I considered myself what I now know to call a pracademic. I quickly appreciated that I was catching the wave of an emerging academic field that combined multiple strands of law and multiple disciplines beyond law. I sought out the precious few nonprofit legal experts in the academy, Harvey Dale, John Simon, Joel Fleischman, Henry Hansman, Marion Fremont Smith, and Laura Chisholm, and I'm grateful for their mentorship. But I quickly realized that nonprofit law does not exist in an academic vacuum. And honestly, dumb luck blessed much of my early scholarly development. Most fortuitously, the program on nonprofit organizations at Yale had recently published that groundbreaking multidisciplinary nonprofit scholarship volume, The Nonprofit Sector, a Research Handbook. You know, the one that's in 3rd edition coming out now, right? Well, I was a non-PhD, so I taught myself the state-of-the-art scholarship in each of the component fields by reading every chapter of that book, and then every article cited in every chapter until they started citing each other's stuff, and then I knew I was done. And then I found ARNOVA. At my first conference in New York City in 1994, I felt like I'd entered Aladdin's cave. So many glittering jewels, so many eminent scholars. They were real people. They were in a profusion of academic disciplines, all doing foundational research in enhancing our understanding of nonprofit organizations and their stakeholders. Professionally, I felt like I'd finally come home. This year would be my 25th consecutive ARNOVA conference, except I missed 2014 when my husband's mother died 2 days prior. Sorry about that. I've been delighted to give back to the association, including, as Dana mentioned, having the honor of serving 2 terms on the ARNOVA board. Okay, now let me talk to the junior scholars out there. I encourage you to make as much use as possible of your membership in this extraordinary community. In your search for assistance, collaborators, guidance, and mentors, you will find that as I did, that altruism is not only studied by ARNOVans, but it is actively practiced. It's easy to make connections at these annual conferences, but don't stop there. After you introduce yourself to scholars and practitioners you admire, ask if you can send them your drafts. And then allow your scholarly agenda to flow in serendipitous directions. Be grateful when luck brings you an unexpected project. My big early break came in 1995 when I was invited to be a discussant on a paper at a conference at Yale, at the suggestion I later learned of an economist to whom I'd sent a draft paper. Thank you, Avner Ben-Nur. When I read the agenda for that conference, my reaction was I recognized every name on that list except mine. Perhaps you too will find yourself working with other ARNOVans on multidisciplinary projects that expand your own discipline's understanding of important questions. My collaborations with non-legal ARNOVans allowed for fruitful scholarship in both directions. To my delight, for example, I explored the various dimensions of property tax exemption for charities, not by pretending to be what I'm not trained to be, but rather by editing a book whose chapters were written by my dream team of leading scholars in their fields, including our too soon lost colleagues Peter Dobkin Hall and Woods Bowman. This was the first of many scholarly collaborations with the Urban Institute. Thank you, Elizabeth Boris, Jean Sturley, and Joe Cordes. Separately, when ARNOVA recently met in Chicago, Dana Brackman-Reeser and I co-organized an international symposium at my law school on charity regulation, taking advantage of the presence of attendees from other countries who were coming to ARNOVA. In turn, I was thrilled to be invited to contribute chapters to books edited by non-legal ARNOVans, Put Barber, Elizabeth Boris and Jean Sturley and Joe Cordes, Lester Solomon, Helmut Anheuer and Avner Ben-Nur, and Dwight Burlingame. My scholarship was greatly informed by fellow chapter writers, Alan Abramson, Joe Galaskowitz, Kirsten Gronbjörg, I hope I pronounced that right, David Hammack, Francie Ostrauer, Steve Smith, and Dennis Young, among many, many others. Without ARNOVA, I never would have become known to the editors of the second edition of the Nonprofit Sector Research Handbook. My contribution was a new chapter on, basically, laws other than tax, which complements that classic chapter on tax exemption. Imagine that, from a newbie acolyte of the first edition to a chapter author in the second. Thank you, Woody Powell and Rich Steinberg. When I first joined ARNOVA, the membership included a handful of legal academics. Now we fill more than one table at lunch. Where are you? Where are my legal people? They're out there. And we fill multiple panels. As Dana said, we so appreciate your providing an annual forum for an expanding international group that lets us explore the disparate legal subdisciplines that collectively constitute nonprofit law, tax, corporate, trust, and constitutional lawyers get lost in their own professional associations and conferences. Nonprofit never rises to the level of a topic. Our panels at ARNOVA have given us the collaborative opportunities that we need to hone draft book chapters, possible symposium articles, including the panel this morning of chapters from Matthew Harding's forthcoming book, Research Handbook on Not-for-Profit Law, coming out of University of Melbourne. But there's a price to pay. It's getting hard at ARNOVA meetings to keep up with my old favorite economists, historians, political scientists, and sociologists, and hearing from new ones. So my apologies to those of you whose panels I can't attend. Most gratifyingly, while I do not have the pleasure of mentoring graduate students, I'm on a law faculty, I am still blessed with progeny. I am profoundly moved to see in this room so many legal scholars whose careers I had the joy of nurturing. My hat's off to Dana Brackman-Reeser, Deborah Morris, Una Breen, Rob Katz, Adam Parachin, Lloyd Meyer, and Johnny Rex Buckles, so quickly grown up. The lively and exciting field of nonprofit scholarship is in excellent hands. In the coming days, you'll be able to hear from these and more senior legal scholars, Mark Seidel, Norm Silber, John Tyler, Linda Sugin, and Terry Lynn Helge, and my apologies for not having time to name all of you. Finally, I share my award with my husband and photographer, Jack Siegel. He is here giving me moral support today. Without Jack's inestimable substantive counsel and unfailing support for the pressures of academe, my accomplishments would not have been possible. The honor I received today from ARNOVA is the capstone of my academic career. To my many dear friends here, giants on whose shoulders I stand, peers and emerging scholars in the study of nonprofits, I say thank you for the opportunity to say thank you. Thank you with all of my heart. I will be retiring from Chicago Kent College of Law after teaching income tax law one last time this spring, allowing me to devote myself full-time to a different creative endeavor. In the last few years, I've returned to my childhood love for drawing and painting, and I want to let all of you hardworking scholars, especially those who are starting out, don't lose sight of what you loved to do before you became an academic. It might serve you well in your later years. It's been fun as well as challenging to start over near the bottom of the learning curve, and I've been fortunate to find another welcoming community of teachers and like-minded students. To my amazement and delight, my pastels have been juried into local and national shows and won awards. And as we speak, my first solo show is hanging in a Chicago gallery. This is a very strange day. So let me leave you with a few images of pieces from my show. Hit it. So is it going to show up? Yes, right. Jack said I should do this. All right. Thank you. So this is from I take pictures with my cell phone. This is from New York City subway. These two girls. You can keep going. That's a bus in Chicago. She was reading a book called When in French, and boy, did she look like it. This was a little boy on the bus by the zoo with his tiger. These are two sisters in Paris. This was a woman who struck up a pose in the Louvre for a friend of hers, and I couldn't believe it. And now everybody poses in front of my painting. It's really meta. And then these were two tattooed gents in a museum in Holland, and they saw the Venus and locked eyes with her, and I said, wow. All right. Thank you very much, everybody. I look forward to meeting you.
This is a token of ARNOVA's appreciation.
Oh, thank you so much.